Hello all, and welcome to my new YouTube channel. I've decided to retire my old channel because, it was tied to a personal account, and because of the online harassment, I've decided that it's no longer safe to have things tied to my personal channel. So I'm tying things to a channel tied to my username, so my Twitter username. So, there we go. So, yeah. So I wanted to talk about, this missing month. Um, so as many of you know, um, I attempted suicide um, on January 29th. I I downed two 500 count bottles of aspirin uh, in the attempt to thin my blood out so that when I cut my wrist, I would bleed out very fast. Um, I downed those, um, and while I was waiting for them to take effect, I posted my note on Twitter, which caused the people watching me um, through Crash Override, who had been set up by Ludley Cordelia Crescent, my best friend, actually. Um, she had set up people to watch me after my previous attempt. Um, so there was like 12 people watching me at all times, which I had no idea. And still to this day, I am still shocked. Not as she thought, as it was a betrayal of confidence, which she was afraid of. I was more shocked that I mattered so much to someone that they would go and do that. Um, so people sprung into action, and eventually the cops were called. The cops arrived as I was about to cut my wrist. Um, I answered the door. Luckily, not with knife in hand, because I'm sure that would have been bad. Um, they talked to me. Um, um, then they informed my wife, who was asleep. You see, in the end, I was a coward. I I couldn't admit that I had a problem. I could not admit that things were so bad that I needed to go to the psych ER and probably be hospitalized for a while. I couldn't do it. My wife was in the next room, and I was so scared and so afraid of telling her that it was easier for me to try and kill myself because of the overwhelming despair I felt than to admit my problems and talk to her. And I'm really ashamed of that. It's it's something I have to live with. the pain that I caused her, the pain I caused my family, and the pain I caused to all my friends. It's something that I can really never atone for, ever. I can do my best. I can try and live a good life. And I can do my best to do everything I can to stay healthy, both physically and mentally, and you know, work on my problems, and you know, now I've made a promise to everyone that not only will I admit my problems, that if things are bad, that I will go to the hospital. So that's that. But so let's get to the meat of this. You see, you can't just take 1,000 pills and walk away fine. I was feeling pretty weird when the cops came. They put me in a wheelchair. They strapped me in. They put me in an ambulance. I don't remember much after that. There was flashes here and there. I remember briefly being wheeled into the ER, briefly on a bed. The next thing I remember, I was in the ICU with a tube in my nose, hooked up to a dialysis machine. There were like 12 bags of fluid running into me. They were talking about a blood transfusion that I had had. They were like surprised that I was suddenly conscious and lucid, because apparently I had been totally out of it. This was like day 2 or 3. And the dialysis had been running constantly. And I was like, "You're doing dialysis?" And they're like, "Oh yeah." And I'm like, "Did my kidneys fail?" And they're like, "Oh no, no. You see, we have to purify your blood because you did so much aspirin that you've toxified your system like crazy. And whenever we stop dialysis, the aspirin levels in your blood just spike right up because we can't get rid of it." And so it was horrible. So they were running that like 24/7 for 8 days. At one point, they ran some kind of scope down my throat and broke up a massive aspirin, like pulling it up through my throat, which helped a little, but didn't really. At one point, they had to replace the tube that ran through my nose into my stomach because it got jammed with stuff, which was an incredibly painful and unpleasant experience. Dialysis leaves you weak and cold. it drained so much of my energy that, like, rolling from side to side was, like, more than I could do sometimes. If I had to use a bedpan, it took all my energy just to lift myself, which is why they eventually had to use things that helped me go to the bathroom. So I had tubes in me. Yeah, it's really, it's really horrible, actually. Um, and, yeah, yeah, because it was just so horrible because they were flushing my system so much, that I couldn't, there was no way I could keep up. So they were, using the stuff they use for colonoscopies, to flush my system, except they were using it constantly. So if you've ever had to use the Go Lightly stuff, imagine that being used on you, basically 24/7 for like 5 or 6 days. It may have been longer. I don't know. I don't know when they started it. It was just constant, and it was horrible. I couldn't eat for 6 days, and I had babysitters, basically. The entire time I was in the ICU and the medical floor. So imagine for 15 days, you have someone with you at all times, because you're on suicide precautions. But you're so weak that you can't do anything. So it's not like you can ever hurt yourself because you don't even have the energy to move under your own power because of the dialysis. Um, so I'm not sure exactly what I would have done. Because, like, at worst I could have rolled to one side and been like, oh no, I rolled. It was bad. It was really bad. The pain was unimaginable. It was ungodly painful. Um, they had me on, I can't even remember the pain medication. It was basically, they had me on Gas X for the gas pain that I was experiencing, morphine for the other pain that I was experiencing. They had to open up the tube that ran into my stomach to let out more gas. They had to give me Zofran because I was nauseous from pain. They had to give me some other medication because I was in just crazy amounts of pain. So it was insane, basically. Oh, and since I was in there, they stopped all my other meds. So I had no psychiatric meds until I got to the psychiatric floor, which was 15 days later. So that meant I was all alone, scared, and dealing with my psychiatric problems with the benefit of medication. So that was so fun. Just unbelievably fun. There's nothing like dealing with crippling depression and anxiety without your medication when you're alone and terrified in a hospital bed. So yeah, it's yeah. when I got to the medical floor, after leaving the ICU, they were a lot stricter about what I could do and what I couldn't do. So they took away my stuffed animal, which was my only comfort. They took away my phone, which is why I couldn't talk to people anymore. Um, I couldn't do a lot of things, which really sucked. I was still incredibly weak from dialysis. I was so weak that when just rolling back and forth, because they had me do that to avoid sores, I pulled a muscle in my groin just rolling, which is incredibly embarrassing. But that's how weak I was. I mean, just rolling like that was too much. It's just pathetic. Eventually, I managed to start walking, which was great, but my endurance sucked. And incidentally, my endurance still sucks. I'm walking farther now, but it's still not good. They say for every week of bed rest, it takes 2 weeks of walking or stuff to get your endurance back, and I was in bed for 2 weeks basically. So that's a month of work to get it back. So crap. But while I was on the medical floor, I had a lot of pain, and it was different. It was in a different location than the other pain. So I reported it, and it turns out I was bleeding internally, courtesy of that wonderful aspirin. So I had to go get a CT scan to confirm, oh, yep, you're bleeding internally. So they had to stop some of the medication they were giving me, monitor that, then restart some of the medication slowly, keep monitoring it until they thought it was okay, and then they're like, okay, you can go to the psych floor now. And it was just like, whew, okay. And then I was up there, finally. And let me tell you, that was a relief. Because once I was up there, I finally got the help I needed. I was meeting with psychiatrists every day, who actually listened to me. I got some of my medication restarted, which was great. I took part in some group therapy sessions. Some of which helped, some of which didn't. I did art and music therapy, which really, really helped. Sorry, I don't mean to cry. It's just, this is a tough subject. So, I did art and music therapy, which helped. It helped me relax. It helped me de-stress because this was a really stressful time. And after a week, they let me go. I was feeling a lot better. And so that's the good point, is I'm feeling a lot better. Now, I'm nervous. Monday, I went out in the outside world for the first time. It went okay. I was nervous as hell going out. It went mainly okay until we went to a restaurant and it was really crowded. When we did that, it was kind of nuts. There was a lot of people there. It was really noisy. I was on the verge of a panic attack, which I didn't have. I am proud to say I did not have a panic attack. I was really, really close, though. I ended up taking an Ativan, um, which got me through. But it was really close. So I know I'm going to have to do a couple more things to acclimate before I go back to work. And doing a little bit of walking around Ann Arbor to get a thing for my new medical marijuana card stuff. Proved that my endurance is not the greatest. So I managed to walk there, but I could not walk back, so Jenny had to pick me up. Uh, so that was kind of lame. But I'm still working on my endurance, and I was proud of how far I walked, especially in the fucking cold, because it is cold as hell. Oh my god, it was like 30 degrees when I went in the hospital, and now it's like -6. It's like, what the fuck happened? Also, gas prices were under $2 when I went in, and now they're like 2.30. So I don't know what happened in a month, but everything went to shit. So yeah. Also, there was no snow on the ground, and now there's a ton of snow. So I don't know what happened. I went to the hospital, and everything went to shit. Everything. So yeah, that's my spiel. So if you have questions or anything, just tweet to me at Anastrace, ANASTRACE. I appreciate questions or comments. Just let me know. You know. Also, let me tell you two things. Suicide is not the answer. It's not. It's not the way to go. Just please don't do it. And dear Eris, poisoning yourself with drugs. I've done it twice now. First time, I ended up in a coma for 6 days. And I ended up getting some side effects from that. I now have a fainting problem, where just randomly I will fucking faint. And they don't really know why, but let me tell you, it started after I OD'd on sedatives, so gonna have to go with that's probably the cause. And now I OD'd on 1,000 aspirin. And I occasionally get like buzzing in my ears, which they tell me is a side effect of doing a shit ton of aspirin, because that causes hearing problems. And I have problems with my stomach, because again, I did a shit ton of aspirin. So, poisoning yourself sucks. It sucks. Don't do it. Seriously, do not do it. I can't emphasize this enough. Please do not do this. Do not be a fucking idiot like me, okay? I am fucking stupid. I really am. Please, please, do not be like me. Your life is worth living. You're a wonderful person. People care about you. People love you. Even if you don't realize this, people love you. You don't think so? Talk to me. I will prove it. I will prove it. I will love you. Connect with me. Talk to me. We'll make a connection. I promise. Okay? Remember, it's at Anastrace. ANASTRACE. ACE. ACE. Just talk to me. I don't want anyone to kill themselves. I don't. So please, just talk to me. Okay? Thanks. I love you all. Bye.